Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Ripping On. We have two guest hosts tonight, Easy and FredBallz. Uh, welcome to the show, guys. I'm sure you guys have very interesting things to say tonight, so let's kick it off with why are you guys
Thank,
here tonight?
thanks, my good man. I've been invited a few times. We finally made it happen. Thank you having us on the show. Uh, I'm just here. I don't know. We're having fun, talking, chit chatting, ripping on Paul's titties and other stuff.
They
You
are
know,
some pretty ripe tits to rip on, I agree.
ooh, they riper than a motherfucker. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Well, we've discussed previously certain things we wanted to talk about on the show. Paul, do you have anything to say via the Mr. Easy E over here?
I don't know. You know what? I mean, what can we say about Easy that hasn't already been said about Baghdad? The man looks bombed out and depleted.
All right.
I hope you're enjoying that Heineken that I rubbed my balls on the rim.
As I drink this Heineken, that I'm sure Easy's rubbed his balls on the rim and spat in it also.
Sounds pretty tasty. All right.
Yo, let's get into this COVID shit, man.
All
I
right,
want to talk about
COVID.
this COVID.
All right, let's go. Let's hear the COVID stuff. What do you got for us tonight?
So hold on, y'all both got the vaccines, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
I've been shot twice in the arm. Yep.
Yeah. What about how do you feel when they say you're gonna have to get a third and maybe a fourth dose because it's coming up apparently?
It's perfectly fine.
Old people. Old people. Well, they're starting with old people.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be medium old people, then younger people. And eventually it's going to be everybody.
Yeah, but somewhere don't you guys feel that this because okay, you guys have to be on the same page as me that this is not a vaccine like any other vaccine we've seen, right? Like we've had vaccines when we were kids, hepatitis, I mean, all kinds of fucking shots and this and that. But I mean, none of them have, if you get the vaccine, we're gonna put you in a contest that you can win a car or fucking, as soon as you have proof of your double doses, you're gonna have this kind of perk or that kind of perk. Don't you feel it's just like fucking, they're trying to sell it to you too hard, man. That's one thing I'm not feeling.
Okay.
They're really trying to sell it so hard.
Okay, but the thing about it is you have people who don't want to get it and there's a lot of misinformation about it. So motivation by offering people
bro, there's been misinformation about every fucking vaccine, and there's people that every single vaccine that came out that they didn't want to have it done. That's nothing new.
Yeah, but
I just
in this day and age, my man, in this day and age, the internet spreads truth and lies at the same time. And for some people, they can't see the difference, right? So that's where,
100%.
there's motivation.
And this, listen, I'm gonna get handed to you, man. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff about anti-vaxxers, flat earthers. I've seen all the fucking crazy Zeitgeist shit, and and I'm not I'm not huge on conspiracy theories. Okay. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Honestly, I have my baby. She had all the legit vaccines, polio, all that crap. She has all those. Me, it's just first things first. This is not a vaccine. It's an mRNA, and they've existed since the 90s. mRNAs existed since the 90s. They've never been approved for humans. They were created and approved for cattle and farm animals and shit like that. And now, they with this COVID shit, they rushed it. They pressured the FDA into finally approving it, and it took a shitload of time. I think it took a good 2 years before the FDA approved these vaccines. Well, the Pfizer vaccine, I don't even think they approved the other ones. And I'm just feeling I feel it's just a cash cow for these pharmaceuticals.
Of course it is to some extent. Like, they are going to make money after this whole entire pandemic is over. I think they're going to make like $94 billion or something along that line for manufacturing and producing and then transporting and all that kind of shit and selling and all that kind of shit, right? So they're gonna make money. Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah. And you know, me, I don't know about now. Now probably they pressured their employees to get it done and everything. But I remember when they first started mandating, making workers mandatory that workers get vaccines to be able to go back to work. I know as a fact that I researched this. I checked Moderna's employees and Pfizer's employees if they had to get the vaccine done in order to get back to work. And honestly, nowhere, anywhere, no matter how much I looked and I researched, nowhere I found that the Pfizer employees or the Moderna employees had to get vaccinated to get back to work. That's first red flag for me. Then I find out that the CEO of Moderna, he was going around the world selling his vaccine, telling all the countries that they should get the vaccine, this, that, everybody should have mandatory vaccines for travel, this and that. And this motherfucker didn't even have his vaccine yet from his own company, and he was going around the entire world, flying across all these countries and pushing people to get his vaccine. Yet you're traveling the world and you're not vaccinated. Now I believe he is. He had to get it done for, public opinion, and people were realizing this motherfucker's a clown. And eventually, I think now he got both doses. But I mean, it made a huge deal, and it is a huge deal. If you believe in your vaccine so hard, like most people, if they invent the medicine and they believe it that hard, they're gonna try it. They're gonna be the first ones to test it on themselves to prove, that it's good.
That's not necessarily a thing. After the trials and everything, I can understand someone saying, "Yeah, I'll take the medicine that I've made," but just experimenting on yourself, it's a rare thing.
Wow, yo, bro, it's a major conflict of interest if you don't even want to take your own shit, bro.
Okay.
Except for Marvel movies, when the hell do people ever test shit on themselves? They always test it on other people. Always test it on other people, man.
I'm just saying, if I preach something and I'm selling something and that's my livelihood, that's what brings money into my fucking house. And, I'd set the example. I'd set the example and go get it fucking done, To me, those were all fucking red flags. And like I say, I have nothing against people that want to get vaccinated. But I really find that they're creating a very big division, a huge gap. And basically, I feel it's almost like apartheid. It's segregation. Basically, you're taking away rights of people that just don't want to get vaccinated. Me, I was the first one to tell my parents. My parents are both over 65, and I was the first one to say, yeah, my parents, they should get the shot. They have to get the vaccine. Okay, and if you look at this disease, it hurts you. Mostly, it's the people that are older. And honestly, if you look at the fucking charts, the mortality rate of this thing, I think it's 0.003 or 0.03 mortality rate. Influenza was as bad. It wasn't as contagious, but mortality rate, I think influenza is similar to fucking COVID.
Okay, but you're bringing up a good point. The mere fact that it's highly contagious is a red flag to begin with. If something is that highly contagious, you want to take the thing that prevents you from spreading it, right? As best as you can.
Yes and no. Yes and no. If it's that contagious, why don't we work on creating herd immunity? Herd immunity to me is...
Do you know what... Okay, what do you understand of herd immunity?
Well, herd immunity is when a group of people that fucking just keep on passing the disease between themselves, your antibodies, if you don't die from it, you are going to get stronger. Your body is going to... Basically, what is technically a vaccine? A vaccine is a microdose of the disease just to teach your fucking your immune system to fight it. So if you're getting the actual disease and if you're fucking recovering from it, that means your body learned and he knows for the next time or the next variant.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so to some extent, you make a good point that the herd immunity is pretty good, but you do understand that the mere fact that this thing can mutate and has been mutating constantly
at a crazy rate. I agree.
exactly
And
every human yeah, but
this might be my other fucking. Like I'm saying, and I'm not a huge conspiracy theory type person, but I mean, to me, to see, and my aunt, she's a geneticist. She's actually working. She's here. She's in Montreal right now, but back in Bristol, England, she's a teacher of the University of Bristol. She teaches in genetics, and she's actually working on creating cures for cancer. That's what she does, is cancer research.
Okay.
And I actually asked her when this whole thing started, when COVID started, I asked her if she had ever seen a virus, a disease that was this bad, this like, because even from the start they were talking about how strong it's like a super virus and how it can it mutates fast. And I asked her if she had ever seen something like, and she told me from the start, she's like, this thing is nothing like we've never ever seen. And she this is coming from her, not from me. She told me that this would take millions of years in nature to get a virus that's this perfect, that's this like contagious, and that's airborne, and that's fucking, you know. And me this pushed me to, you know, that Wuhan, bro, the fucking Fauci lied, man. Fauci was in Wuhan.
Listen. Okay, she doesn't specialize in what do you call it, contagious viruses and all that kind of shit, right?
She's in genetics.
Yeah,
she's
in genetics, but
no, she's not a
virologist. Yeah. Okay, so the thing about it is, let's just make it clear. Every human is a petri dish for this thing to mutate in, right? That's an understanding. Because every human being is slightly different and has different proteins and all this kind of shit inside of their body, the capability of it mutating is really high if you keep spreading it over and over amongst the population and all that kind of shit. So now, the problem with that is the mere fact that we have been pumping our systems full of drugs against all these other things means that every virus that potentially comes in contact with us will be adaptive to our genetics and our medical criteria that we've been doing over all these years, right? So it's always going to be stronger. The next one is going to be even stronger than the previous one. So let's say like in go ahead.
As viruses mutate, your antibodies mutate too. They get smarter. They learn to recognize. And me, I truly believe the next generations too. Your kids' generation should have stronger antibodies against the same kind of diseases. You know what I mean? Like if it's as simple as if you bring a cold, a normal flu, to an Aborigines colony somewhere that never had no fucking flu, they're all fucking gonna die. But I mean, if the ones that don't die, they reproduce and they you know, pass the flu on and this and that, their kids are going to be stronger to it. Like as much as I get that you say virus gets they mutate and get stronger strains and this and that, but your body, your antibody that goes along with it, that follows the same trend. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's been the same fight for thousands of years. You know what I mean? Viruses they modify, they change, new viruses come in, they get stronger, this and that, and our bodies, they just adapt. The weak die, and the strong survive, reproduce, and get stronger against it. You know.
Yeah, but you do understand survival of the fittest doesn't work with humanity anymore, right?
Sorry, I was getting a call. Just hang up. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know that survival of the fittest doesn't work with humanity right now, right?
Yes and no. Yes and no, bro. Don't get it twisted. There is so many problems. I'll give you the example of the guy. The first, what was the disease there that they had the challenge, the ice bucket challenge? What was that? The name of that disease again?
I don't know. I've never. Don't look at me.
You remember that one, Paul?
Wasn't it MS?
No. Fuck. What was it again? Anyways, listen, the guy, they named it after a baseball player. The first guy that, you know, publicized this disease and made a huge thing about it to try and get foundations and researchers going for this disease.
Okay.
This guy, okay, he gets the disease. Okay. which is a hereditary disease.
Okay.
Which is a disease that you pass that could skip a generation or two, but it stays in the fucking tree line, in your family tree. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be like the fascist type, this and that. But this guy, he finds out he has a disease. He still manages, to fight, to get research going, to get money. That's all fine by me. He gets married, okay, and he gets his wife pregnant.
Okay.
So what do you think happens when the person that has the disease and that's about to die, he goes and gets somebody pregnant? That disease stays in the family, it stays in humanity, it stays in society. So, okay, to a certain extent, it doesn't apply. But yes, it does apply. Because if the weak people die, the diseased people don't reproduce, how do you want the next generation to catch that? You know what I mean? If that guy wouldn't have had, if all the people that have that type of hereditary disease don't have kids, well, the next generation won't have those kind of diseases.
First of all,
The big difference
Wait.
natural selection for humans is that humans, medicine has evolved so much that even ugly motherfuckers, bad genetic motherfuckers, fucking all kinds of people, they still manage to survive long enough to reproduce.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to cut you off there for a second. Paul, what were you going to say?
The disease, isn't it ALS?
Yeah, I think maybe, yeah.
Yeah, the athlete you're talking about is Lou Gehrig. It's Lou Gehrig's disease.
Exactly, the Lou Gehrig disease. That's right. But like I'm telling you,
it's a nervous system disease. It attacks the nerve cells and loss of muscle control and shit.
Yeah, and like I told you, I read the whole story of this guy. It was fucking hereditary. I think his grandfather had it, and
this someone that lived in like the 1930s and 40s. They didn't know it was hereditary then. They didn't even know what it was then. They just knew the dude couldn't play baseball anymore.
Yeah, but bro, my point is, Darnell says natural selection doesn't apply to us. I say no, it does apply to us. If people that have diseases die before they reproduce, or they just decide not to reproduce, there won't be hereditary diseases no more. You know what I'm trying to say? That is natural selection. That's the weak die and don't reproduce, and the strong survive.
Yes, but you're proving my point at the same time, because people are selfish and people will continuously want to have offspring, then it doesn't work. Like, natural selection doesn't work with humanity anymore. We have lots of drugs to deal with a lot of conditions that people go through and all that kind of shit. Like,
that's the thing though. But that to me is up to. But like I've always said, our society to me is broken to a certain extent. I'm not, like I'm saying, I don't want to seem like the fascist, the fucking. People don't choose to be born with diseases. People don't choose to be born with handicaps. But I mean, as a society, like, they do tests right now. When my wife was pregnant, they did a test to see if the baby had the trisomie, or if the baby had another kind of, problem. And me, I
there a test to see if the baby's back's gonna be as hairy as yours?
As much as I love kids and this and that. I mean, if I would have had that kind of disease, bro, now we would have aborted. For sure we would have had the abortion and fucking.
That's because they weren't taught right. You leave any child unraised right, and they gonna bang their head and act like a savage.
So you're. I think the lesson of this the moral of the story is beat your children, people. Beat your fucking kids. Make sure they raised right.
Bro, from the second they come out, beat the shit out of them.
Oh no! The first year you gotta be nice.
Well, it's still soft, so they remember.
You gotta win their trust first.
You guys are bad. Oh my goodness. All right.
We're talking to talk, but I mean, yeah. Me, it's just like I'm saying, man. It's there's so many red flags with COVID, bro.
But these red flags are like, they're nothing. They're nothing to even bother with. You know that, right?
What do you mean they're nothing to bother with, bro? It's bro. If you've looked at humanity's history from the start, yes, they have to be bothered with.
Like, okay, you gotta give me an example of what you're talking about.
Okay, first of all, every time there was medical breakthroughs, either the military or somebody stepped in and tried to either weaponize it or fucking find some kind of way to make it all fucked up to ruin people's lives. It's true. Look at fucking radiation. Radiation was created, X-rays and shit for medical purposes by Marie Curie and Pierre Curie.
That was accidental.
Military steps in and they turn the shit into a fucking atomic bomb, bro. You know? And okay, I'll give you another example, especially about this virus thing. And me, I'm talking about future warfare, okay? Because the more we're advancing in technology and in the future, the way I see it, and honestly, technology is taking over. Now you got drones, people like they're not sending infantry, they're sending drones. And it's very asymmetrical. All the wars you see in the world right now, they're guerrilla warfare. People hiring security firms, private security to be mercenaries, fucking hiring different countries to fight for them. Iran has the Hezbollah in Lebanon and fucking
Hezbollah.
And then fucking the Saudis have the Houthis, the fucking. It's just.
Hold on. How do we go from COVID to terrorist organizations?
No, but listen. I'm going because COVID to me, I feel like COVID is a tactic, is a warfare tactic, is a terrorism tactic. Back like Bush days, they used terrorism to keep the people scared. Now they're using fucking COVID to keep the people scared, and that's to me, you know, it's fucking it's warfare tactics. If you look at the 10 laws, 10 rules to start a war, fear, I guarantee you, fear is on top of that fucking list. And all this to get back to you wanted a concrete example. This was taught to us in fucking history classes here in Canada. When fucking, I think it was not Christopher Columbus. I think it's the other motherfuckers. Anyways, they came down here, and they wanted the beaver fur. The beaver fur, La Baie du Son company. They were trading guns and booze for beaver fur from the Indians down here. And what fucking happened, you know, these smart fucking bastards, they came to fucking do a deal. First, they got him drunk. They got him drunk with booze. And then they gave him a bunch of fucking blankets with fucking some kind of virus, some kind of flu. They gave him blankets with some kind of flu. And you guys know this story. We all know this
it's smallpox. And I think that's more in the US than it's up here.
No matter what, bro.
No, I said more in the U.S. It was more of it was a bigger thing in the U.S.
Bro, I put up on we found a bunch of leftover blankets from Kanawaki.
I'm talking to you about hundreds of years ago. Motherfuckers used the disease as a way to win wars.
Yes, but I agree with you. Biological warfare is a thing, and most likely will be a thing in the future. Like, yet again, it does, like, that stuff doesn't matter. The problem is, if you create,
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I was gonna say, like, if you create something like this and then you just unleash it onto the world without proper preparation and all that kind of shit, you would be an idiot. Anyone who does biological warfare with this kind of stupidity should be strung up on the gallows or whatever, right? This is idiotic. No one's going to create a weapon that's going to mutate and then spread out of their control.
Yeah, well, mark your words, bro. You just said they should be hung by they did exactly.
Yeah, anyone who creates something like this.
Oh, the Americans do it all the time. American fucking.
Hold on. Paul's trying to say something. Hold on a second. Go ahead.
No one tries to create something that they're going to lose control of.
Exactly,
but at the same time, you have to have the foresight
of doing this is because they either want to hurt a specific type of people, a specific nation, a specific country, or they just want to see the world burn. But the point is for them not to lose control of it. They want to have control of it because they want it to unfold the way they want it to. But it always gets out of control eventually.
No, yeah, right. And that's why biological warfare is not a thing that humans should ever fucking dabble in.
Exactly, but they have been. They have been, bro. The Wuhan lab.
Dabbling, bro. That's the problem with humans. Everything we shouldn't do, we do. And all the things we should do, we don't do.
I agree with you.
The lab in Wuhan, where this disease originated, the lab in Wuhan.
There is no confirmation on that.
What do you mean there's no... Fauci was there. He said that it's been undisclosed. It's information you can easily find on it.
It's been proven that this disease was genetically mutated in a lab in Wuhan before anybody was infected with it outside.
Yeah. No, bro, don't get it twisted. The Wuhan lab is a legit thing. It's not a fucking
I know it's a lab, but okay, look.
And they have been openly they have been openly testing. They have been openly testing on coronaviruses since the 90s.
Yes.
Back in 98. Listen to this. Back in 98, Fauci, the cocksucker, went to Wuhan because, by the way, the Wuhan lab is not only Chinese. It's a cooperation, half American. It was actually an international collaboration.
Yes, it was used to understand and test all these different viruses that happen across the world. I know this.
Okay. Listen, yes. Okay.
Nation, Japan did a bunch of PlayStations.
Fauci was there in 98, and he said that he had strong concerns that the security and the sanitation levels were not high enough at that lab.
Okay.
He said it in a report.
Okay, and that could be true, but at the same time, that doesn't mean he had anything to do with any of this.
No, 100%. You're right. Me, all I'm saying, okay, listen to my theory. Some motherfucker working in that lab, okay, by accident, catches the disease or drags it out on his clothes or whatever. The Wuhan market, where they say they found patient 0, you know, the first fucking case and the first everything, they say came from the open market of Wuhan. Apparently, the Wuhan market is it's not even 4 blocks away from the lab. So I'm thinking this motherfucker came out the lab, decided to go get a sandwich or some squid or something at the fucking market, and then he gave it to someone else. That could be 100% fluke accident. Maybe that's how it fucking started. You know what I mean? I'm not taking away. I'm not saying motherfuckers purposely threw out the fucking virus out in the air and wanted everybody to be sick.
Okay, hold on. How about I could give you a much more reasonable outcome of what potentially happened? Do you want to hear my theory?
Yeah, we're here to hear other people's shit. Go.
All right. So technically, what could have happened due to the fact humanity has been encroaching on more and more environmental areas where nature is technically, you know, free and wild, but it's being more and more condensed because you're forcing more and more animals together. They potentially could have taken an ordinary animal that... Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
They could have potentially taken an animal who could have been sick from something similar to it, and then while it was in the market, and then due to the sicknesses that were potentially going around, it mutated there and then was transmitted into humans, and from there it spread and changed. It's even possible that the original strain is probably something that we probably wouldn't even recognize until later on. So the probability of it just being a fluke cross-species jump is much more likely than it being a experimented thing and then released.
The show. Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Paul for that beautiful Grand Marnier Louis Alexander. Mighty beautiful in my mouth.
Happy birthday, you ugly motherfucker.
Yo, we should get Grand Marnier to sponsor your podcast, bro.
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
That's some serious shit. Oh, bro, I would do this 3 times a week if we had a Grand Marnier free.